Good day, dear colleagues. My name is Olga Selivanov. I also represent the Archive of the Russian Academy of Science, and my report will continue the review presented by my colleague Svetlana Limanova. I'll cover in more detail the composition of the personal funds of the RAS and the problems at the present stage of acquisition. As already mentioned, personal funds are one of the most important parts of scientific and historical research. Moreover, in the light of the increasing popularity of such trends that emerged in the 17th of the 20th century as the history of everyday life, microhistory, and historical biography, the methodological problem of biography as a genre of historical research is becoming clearer. It is the problem of interaction between two subjects, the hero of biography and his researcher, both dependent on their heirs. Of course, in the context of this problem, personal funds of scientists become an integral part of the study of the history of science. The first section of documents, one of the most important and informative, of course, provided that the presentation is complete, is scientific documents. Articles, monographs, reports, projects, drawing and blueprints, inventions, lecture courses and textbooks, popular science works, expedition diaries. Often with the editing of a scientist, they show the process of work, the feature of scientific search, and the path to discovery. The same function is performed by working materials and illustrations for scientific papers. One of the most valuable discoveries that can be made in this section is unpublished works of scientists. The second section of documents is biographical. This includes, for example, autobiographies, personal documents, documents about the fund creator studies, travel notes, property and household documents, and anniversary documents. It is obvious that they help to restore unknown pages of the scientist's biography, his path to science, and the background of his scientific life. The same section contains photos and other visual materials that allow not only to visualize the image of a scientist, but also often serve as material for research of his scientific activities, for example, photos from expeditions. This is especially important when, for example, found artifacts are lost. The coins listed on this slide were removed from the Bakhchisarai Museum in Crimea during its looting by the Nazi and are considered lost after the Second World War. Now preserved in the personal fund of the archaeologist Brazdin list is actually the only source now. Another type of document in this section is diaries and notebooks. As the ego documents, they are one of the possibilities of a cultural mediated understanding of a person of a certain era, his thoughts, capabilities, and realities. The next section is activity documents. This is a wide range of materials, transcripts of meetings with the participation of the fund creator, his speeches and reports on scientific and organizational issues, memos on institution activities, the creation of new structures, work reports, materials of congress, meetings, business trips, personal issues, scientific and organizational correspondence. Documents in this section often reflect not only the work of scientists, his daily labor process, but also the work of a department, institutes, commission, and the structure of the scientific progress arrangement of a certain era. The next section of personal funds is correspondence. Epistoral heritage allows to outline the circle of scientists' acquaintances, characterizes the psychological climate of the historical period, reveals personal qualities, and gives new touches to the biography of both the fund creator and his correspondents. It is worth noting that in the first half of the 20th century, before the spread of telephones, letters were the most accessible way of communication. The culture of writing was at a high level, and many scientists kept received letters, and some kept even copies of sent letters. Of course, this makes this section promising in terms of research opportunities for researchers of history of science. The last three sections are materials of relatives, materials of other persons, and collection of documents gathered by the fund creator. These materials are also subject to the general classification. They can contain any of the documents listed above, and sometimes allow to make amazing scientific discoveries. Together, all these documents show the creative laboratory of the scientists, allowed to trace not only the personal and scientific biography, but also to study the history of science, to understand how a certain process of personal, social, and state order influenced it. In the light of the increasing digitalization of scientific and organizational processes, we can talk about the globalization of the scientific world and the availability of information. However, this also leads to a depletion of funds, especially personal collections. Currently, scientific work, whether it is articles, reports, monography, records of experiments, calculations, drafts and material for them, correspondence, photographs, most of what makes up a scientist's creative laboratory is stored digitally or even not stored at all. Given the above three questions seem important. The first is the need for the detailed study of the methods of acquisition, systematization, and storage of electronic archives. In the Archive of the Russian Academy of Science, electronic documents are stored in its own equipment, the special information system of RAS, which complies with legal norms, information security, and information protection requirements, and has the ability to back up. By the software model typer specially developed for the archives of the Academy of Science, an inventory of convenient electronic documents is formed when accepting the fund, and the received computer files are uploaded to it. The inventory is then uploaded to the information system of RAS. At the same time, it is considered important to print electronic documents on paper to prevent their loss in the event of a system failure, viruses, or etc. It is important that during the storage process, the availability and status of documents in the information system of RAS is checked automatically. The second question is the creation of practices that allow to translate already accumulated documents into electronic form, and the organization of such an archive storage system that can work with documents stored on different media according to the same rules. The Archive of the Russian Academy of Science constantly scans documents of the funds already described and uploaded them to the information system. A special information technology department has been created to implement the first 2 points. Obviously, the main points of these two questions are financing, close cooperation of the archives with companies that provide digital storage services, and the issue of staff. The third question is the active search and acquisition of the RAS with pre-digital funds that have not yet been transferred to state storage, their scientific and technical processes and digitalization. One way is to promote the activities of RAS by participating in conferences, publishing stored documents, and holding exhibitions. In addition to the thematic and anniversary exhibitions described by Svetlana Limanova, the Archive also holds an annual exhibition of new arrivals, the Priceless Gift. This exhibition presents the documents that RAS was completed with over the past years. Not only archivists and historians of science are invited, but also potential fund creators, scientists, and their relatives. All this will help preserve the legacy of scientists, which is necessary not only for the further development of science, but also for the formation of historical memory and value orientations. Thank you for your attention.